Stop what you're doing right now. I am dead serious. What went down tonight in Atlanta is not something you scroll past. This was not just a basketball game. This was not just a playoff win. This was not just another page in the 2026 New York Knicks story. What happened inside State Farm Arena tonight is the most devastating, most humiliating, most historically jaw-dropping playoff victory this franchise has ever produced. And I need you to understand, I'm not hyping this up for clicks. I am not stretching the truth for dramatic effect. I'm telling you this because the final score was Knicks 140, Hawks 89. 140 to 89, a 51-point demolition. 51 points, the largest margin of victory in the entire playoff history of the New York Knicks. The kind of blowout that doesn't just close a series, it buries reputations, it buries narratives, it buries every scorching hot take every single analyst lobbed at this team over the last 3 weeks. And the man standing in the middle of that wreckage, the man who strolled into that building with a grin that said everything, and then proceeded to tear the Atlanta Hawks apart like they were a glorified practice squad, that was Karl-Anthony Towns. And what he said before tip-off, right into that ESPN camera in the tunnel with this eerie, ice-cold calm, and then what he said once the carnage was officially complete, hold up, because this content is going to live in Knicks lore forever. So let me walk you through every single moment of this night, because this was the night Cat silenced every critic, every doubter, every talking head who ever had the nerve to call him soft. And he did it grinning the whole time. Hey, what's up everybody? Real quick before we break this all down, that like button right now is literally what decides whether this video reaches hundreds of people or thousands of people. 1 second of your time makes a massive difference for this channel's growth. Just smash that like button right now. It's honestly the easiest thing you can do, and it's the single biggest way to support what we're building here. Every like pushes this further out into the world, so hit it now. Alright, let me give you the full context because you need to feel the actual weight of what was sitting on this team's shoulders before tonight's tip-off. The series stood at 3-2 in favor of the Knicks after wins in games 1, 4, and 5, including that legendary Game 5 demolition at Madison Square Garden, where Jalen Brunson dropped 39 and made his promise to this city. But the road to get here was ugly. Games 2 and 3 were both losses, both by a single point, 107-106 and 109-108. And when New York fell to 2-1 after those two gut-punch defeats, the New York media turned on this team with a ferocity that was borderline unhinged. Stephen A. Smith went on First Take and delivered a 5-minute monologue that has since been replayed roughly 10 million times across social media. He called the Knicks, and I quote, "sorry asses." He said those exact words on national television about the team he swears he loves. He called for head coach Mike Brown to be fired on the spot. He said Mikal Bridges was a waste of 5 draft picks. And girl, he looked dead into that camera and said Cat simply does not have the instincts of a winner. He flat out said the front office dropped the ball and that Leon Rose needed to be held personally accountable for the dumpster fire he lit. That was the most savage, no-holds-barred demolition of his own franchise I have ever witnessed from Stephen A. Smith. And listen, that is genuinely saying something, because this man has built an entire empire on scorching hot takes and theatrical outrage. And the players, they caught every single word. They rewound every clip.
They screenshotted everything and saved it. So tonight, in Game 6, with a chance to eliminate Atlanta on their home floor, the Knicks walked into State Farm Arena carrying what Brunson would later describe as blood in our eyes. Now hold up, let me walk you through the tunnel interview before tip-off, because this moment right here is what lit the fuse on everything that came after. ESPN had cameras planted in the tunnel connecting the visitors' locker room to the court, and roughly 20 minutes before tip-off, Cat came striding through that tunnel, warm-ups on, headphones hanging around his neck, fully locked in. But the expression on his face? Girl, it wasn't rage. It wasn't that fierce, burning intensity you expect from a guy with something to prove. It was something far more dangerous, a sarcastic smile. The kind of smile you only get when someone has disrespected you so thoroughly that you've burned straight through fury and landed somewhere colder, somewhere calculated, somewhere genuinely amused by the audacity. Like the whole situation was just funny to him. And when the ESPN reporter stepped directly into his path and asked if he had a second, Cat stopped dead, locked eyes with the camera, and let that smile stretch just a little wider. "Stephen A," he said, no prompt, no question needed. "I heard you. I heard every single word. Sorry asses. That's the phrase you used. You called us sorry asses, the team you claim to bleed for, the team you've been riding with since you were a kid growing up in New York. You put us on blast on national television when we were down 2-1 in a series where we dropped 2 games by a single point each. 1 point, not 20, not 30, 1. And your answer to back-to-back 1-point losses was to demand our coach's head and announce to the entire world that we're frauds?" He shook his head slowly, that smile never leaving his face. "That tells me everything I'll ever need to know about your analysis, Stephen A. You don't break down basketball, you break down emotions. You felt frustrated and you lashed out, like a fan, not an analyst. And hey, be a fan, that's cool, but do not sit behind that desk and act like you're dissecting the game when what you're really doing is throwing a full-grown adult tantrum." Then he got laser-focused on the personal shots taken at him specifically, and the sarcasm dripping from his voice was absolutely lethal. He said, "You don't have the instinct of a winner. The instinct, like winning, is wired into your DNA at birth, like you either come out of the womb with it or you don't. Let me tell you exactly what my instinct looks like, Stephen A. My instinct told me to leave Minnesota, where I was comfortable, where I was the franchise, where I could have dropped 25 and 12 every night and made all-star teams without a single soul challenging me. My instinct brought me to New York, the most unforgiving, pressure-cooked market in the entire sport, and made me willingly become the second option behind Jalen Brunson, because winning means more than a stat line ever will. My instinct forced me to completely reconstruct my game, to pass better, defend better, lead better, because the old version of Cat simply wasn't built for a championship roster. My instinct is to grow, to sacrifice everything that gets in the way of winning. That is the instinct. And you sat there on national television and called that soft. You had the nerve to say that man had no killer in him. Pull up to practice at 5 a.m. tomorrow and watch what that looks like up close. Then come talk to me about who's got a winner's mentality." And then he dropped the line that is already being printed on merchandise as we speak. He locked his eyes dead into that camera, pointed his finger, and said, "Don't call us sorry. Call us champions, because that is exactly what we're walking into right now. Starting tonight, starting this very second, I am stepping onto that court and I am extinguishing every last flicker of hope Atlanta brought into this building. Not out of rage, not out of frustration, out of pure, unbothered joy. Because nothing hits different than shutting every doubter up at full volume. And Stephen A. Smith, you just handed me the single greatest gift of motivation I have ever received in my entire career. Sorry asses. I'm carrying those 2 words with me through every game left in this playoff run. Every possession, every moment I need to find another level, I will hear your voice and I will turn it into rocket fuel."
So thank you, Stephen A. No, genuinely, thank you for the energy. He slid his headphones on, turned around, and walked straight onto that court. And what unfolded over the next 2.5 hours was the most thorough, most merciless, most jaw-dropping demolition I have ever personally witnessed from a Knicks squad. From the jump ball, Cat was operating on a completely different frequency than every other human being in that arena. He announced himself on the very first possession with a thunderous dunk straight over Onyeka Okongwu that told you everything you needed to know about the night ahead. By the time the first quarter buzzer sounded, New York was up 18. At halftime, hold up, 32 points. And in the third quarter, when normal teams with a comfortable lead would ease up, the Knicks stretched it to 45. 45 points, people. The Atlanta Hawks looked like they were watching a natural disaster happen in slow motion. Trae Young was unraveling right there in front of everybody, going at his teammates, going at the refs, going at the bench. The Atlanta crowd that was absolutely buzzing before tip-off was filing desperately toward the exits before the third quarter was even half
halfway done, and Kat was right at the heart of every single moment, punishing the paint, knocking down threes from the perimeter, threading gorgeous passes through traffic, playing the most complete basketball of his life. Listen to this. His final stat line was genuinely absurd, but honestly, the numbers almost missed the point entirely. What I watched tonight was a 7-footer playing with the calm, focused fury of a man who has spent years waiting for exactly this stage. Not just a closeout game, the moment where he could finally, permanently, undeniably silence every single voice that ever questioned his toughness. And he didn't just silence them, he obliterated them. He obliterated the narrative, he obliterated the criticism, he obliterated the entire Atlanta Hawks basketball team. And he did it all wearing that cool, unbothered smirk, like the whole situation was mildly entertaining to him. Like erasing a professional franchise by 51 points was just how he spends a random Tuesday. And then the post-game podium moment was the perfect bow on the whole thing. Kat sat down, still drenched in sweat, still wearing that same smile, and the very first question out of the gate was about Stephen A's "sorry asses" comment. Kat walked straight up to that microphone like a man who had something to prove, and baby, he proved it. Sorry asses don't drop 51 points on an opponent's home floor in a closeout game. Sorry asses don't claw back from a 2-1 deficit and close out a series 4-2. Sorry asses don't turn the biggest playoff blowout in franchise history into a message that the entire basketball universe felt in their chest. So, Stephen A., with all due respect, it's time to retire that word from your vocabulary, because sorry doesn't apply here anymore. The word you're looking for is dangerous. The New York Knicks are the single most dangerous team breathing air in professional basketball right now. And listen to this. Every team still alive, every coach scribbling X's and O's in a film room somewhere, every executive sweating through their suit, they all just watched us dismantle a team by 51 in a closeout game. They should be sleeping with one eye open, because we are nowhere near done. Then he rose from that podium, moved to the edge of the stage with the energy of someone who just won a war, and hit the room with a closing line that made the walls shake. The title doesn't pass through New York like it's catching a flight. The title lives here. We are bringing it home. Ring or nothing. That is the only outcome this locker room will accept.
And if you want to call that a sorry-ass mentality, then fine. We'll be the sorriest asses this sport has ever seen, and we're coming for absolutely everything. He shifted gears and poured genuine love on Josh Hart, Dante DiVincenzo, Mitchell Robinson, and every single role player who left something on that floor. He shouted out Mike Brown and the coaching staff, making clear their defensive game plans were the bedrock this whole run was built on. He gave Leon Rose and Jerson Rosas their flowers for assembling a roster built for exactly this kind of moment. He left nobody out, because that's what real leadership looks like, making sure every name gets called. And then came the part that's going to echo through this series, this season, and maybe this entire new chapter of Knicks basketball. Brunson locked eyes with the camera, let the silence do its work, and then opened his mouth. In Game 5, I made a promise. I said I wasn't guaranteeing anything. I was promising. And look, the gap between a guarantee and a promise is everything. Because a promise isn't a press release, it's sacred ground. It lives between the people I die for and me. And tonight, I honored that ground. We shut this series down. We're moving forward. And baby, we're just getting started. He took that pause, and listen, you could physically watch the emotion rising behind those eyes like a storm building on the horizon. Stephen A., drag your face back onto TV tomorrow and say whatever your heart desires. Gas us up, tear us apart, call us sorry asses one more time if that's what gets you through the night. But I'll say exactly what I said 2 days ago. Start mapping out that parade route, because this team has no interest in stopping. Not in round 2, not in the conference finals, not until we are gripping the Larry O'Brien Trophy on 7th Avenue, while 2 million people lose their absolute minds screaming our names. That's not a forecast, that's not a guarantee, that's a promise. And Jalen Brunson does not break promises.
Listen, I'm sitting here hours removed from this game, and my skin is still electric from what I witnessed tonight. Karl-Anthony Towns didn't just show up to a basketball game. He delivered a manifesto about who he is at his core, about what this Knicks squad truly is, about what they can unleash when the noise gets deafening and the critics get ruthless and the weight of expectations gets almost unbearable. He took Stephen A. Smith's most savage words, let him sink in, let him simmer, and then weaponized every single syllable into the most dominant performance of his entire career. And the message sent to every team left in this league is crystal clear. Come for the Knicks, doubt the Knicks, disrespect the Knicks. They will pick up every word you said, flip it into ammunition, and make you wish you'd never opened your mouth. I need to hear from Knicks Nation right now. How intoxicating did tonight feel? Is Cat finally getting the flowers he has always deserved? Are these Knicks legitimate, undeniable championship contenders? Drop everything in the comments. Don't hold back. Hit subscribe, smash that bell like you're celebrating on 7th Avenue. Round 1 is done, the Knicks are advancing, and the road to the championship, it's just getting good. Peace.